Hi guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the JBL Eon One Compact. Now this portable PA system can be found for around £520 in the UK and around $550 in the US. Links will be down in the description below in case you're interested. Now, in terms of the key features of this speaker, well, it ultimately has Bluetooth connectivity, which is a rarity when it comes to portable PA systems, it seems. It's also got an app which allows you a huge selection of control, which I'll show you that throughout the video. And also in terms of the unit itself, it has all the right inputs that you might want as either a musician, someone who's making public announcements, or someone who's at a gym class, for example, and running a session. So in this review, I'll be trying to cover all different variety of points. If you've got any questions, make sure you do pop them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to try and answer them as best of my knowledge. So first off, I want to talk about the build quality and design of the speaker itself. Now, the speaker weighs around 8 kilograms, which is pretty heavy if you're going to carry it with one hand. However, if you're going to be carrying it with two hands, I think most people won't struggle with that. At the top, there is a place where you can pop in an iPad, and at the top, as you might notice, there's a pretty big handlebar, and it will fit all type of shapes of hand sizes because it's pretty large. Around the back, there's a removable battery pack. Now, a lot of people have been saying this is a great feature, which I do agree about. However, I struggle to find a removable battery pack that you could actually purchase online, be it from JBL's website or through its selected retailers. It's simple enough, but I would have liked the fact that you can actually buy it straight from the website, because people will potentially be buying this speaker for the fact that this does have a removable battery pack and therefore allows you to quickly swap and change between the batteries. Now, each battery lasts around 12 hours. That's the quoted battery life on the JBL speaker, at least on JBL's website. It takes about 1.5 hours to charge, and the beauty of it is that it accepts a kettle plug input, which can be put to your wall. There's also two USB Type A ports, and these are outputs, so you can also additionally charge your smartphones via this, or using it almost like a power bank. Now, in terms of the inputs and output, you've got a headphone jack output over here, so if you want to listen to your headphones with them. You've got auxiliary inputs, you've got a pass-through of a 6.3mm jack, a line 6.3mm jack input as well. You've got mic or line inputs via XLR inputs as well over here. And then if you were to switch on the unit, which just takes a little while, but once you switch it on, the lights will come on. There we go. So as you can see, it just takes a little while to come on, and once it does, you'll see there's a battery indicator over here, and then depending on the channel you select as well. So for example, if you're using something on mic in, you want to select channel 1. Now, this channel select button, it responds instantaneously, and also if you want a multi-channel, so 4 channel running simultaneously, you can do that as well by pressing that button. All 4 buttons light up. The Bluetooth mode over here as well. This doesn't continue flashing. As long as you've got Bluetooth activated, then it will pair up to your device pretty instantaneously. And then you've got 5 knobs over here, which essentially are the master volume, the mix mode, which means you can mix depending on the channel. Then you've got the treble, bass, and reverb, which you can adjust over here by physical volume knobs. Now, I would highly suggest you to use the app when you're doing these things. However, of course, your mileage may vary, and you might not want to use the app or not have access to it, and therefore you can quickly adjust the bass or treble, for example, by dialing this, and you can see the light indicates more or less depending on which way you go. Hopefully you can see that on camera. So here is the app. It's the JBL Compact Connect, which is available on iOS and the Google Play Store. Now, what I would highly suggest is when you do get the speaker is to update the firmware straight away. I'm running on 5.1.0. The first step you should really do, it does take around 10 to 15 minutes, and you will have to unpair it afterwards and then repair it once you've completed the firmware update in order to apply the changes. Now, the snapshot one isn't exactly interesting. Really, it's the input mixer and the EQ out. Now, the input mixer tab over here, you'll be able to see that you've got 4 different channels. Now, the 4 different channels correspond to what you've got on the actual speaker itself. For example, 1/4 inch phono, or let's say line input or microphone. And you've got phantom as well, in terms of improving the microphone sensitivity on channel 1 as well, which again was available via a physical switch. Now the beauty of all of this is the fact that you can customize every single channel's EQ individually. So there's a 6-band equalizer per channel, so therefore if you do want, let's say, I don't know, your Bluetooth has a different type of sound output versus the one that you have via a phono input, then you can customize that. The fact there's every single bar over here, or all the single numbers, including the bass and treble one. And by the way, yes, you can drag this to number 2 before bass, which is technically number 1. And you can basically tailor this from the width, in other words, to how much it affects that certain frequency. So this is great if you've got certain clipping on, let's say, your guitar or whatever have you, or your microphone, or if you're someone who just wants to listen to, in terms of audio, you might want to go to a smaller width, sorry, or should I say a smaller width, and therefore you can adjust a wider band of the frequency. It's great to see this, and I would think that the feature will be very much used by a lot of people, and also it is very much tailored to you, so you can customize it per frequency, and it's pretty much unlimited in terms of frequency adjustments, well, at least via the 6 bands. Now the beauty of it as well is that if you go on the channel 4 input, you've also got the duck feature, which the duck feature is not the animal, it's more the fact that if you are going to be using a microphone and you have music playing in the background, once the microphone picks up a sound, it will automatically duck, therefore reduce the volume of your speaker in order for your voice to come through in front of the music. So for example, if you're at a running class and you're running the class and then you want to speak into the microphone, it will automatically duck the volume, and therefore people will be able to hear you over the blazing music that you have playing. Now this is a really useful feature, and it's great to see it's actually included. Again, there's a physical switch as well if you so wish. You don't have to use the app in order to access this functionality. So aside the EQ function, now this is completely, by the way, subjective, and I'll get into this in my sound quality section, but worth bearing in mind, it's completely subjective. I wouldn't keep it flat if I were you, but again, your mileage may vary depending on your equipment that you're using and or your music that you have. You'll be able to see that the EQ out is also another preset, which this is a global EQ, which then gets applied throughout all the channels. So you've not only got the customized EQ, but you've also got a global EQ adjustments that you can have. And over here you've got an 8-band adjustment instead. You've got presets if you want to use them. Now I'm not sure I would potentially use them. Now the presets sometimes seem not to respond, but I would personally use the flat one the most, and again, this completely depends on the equipment that you're using, so just bear that in mind. In terms of FX, you can adjust this. Now you will need the right sort of inputs in order to adjust the FX and have them actually running. You can adjust the reverb, the delay, for example, even the chorus, and you can adjust their volume per per section as well, and per channel between the between channel 1 to 3. So channel 4, which is the one where you've got the Bluetooth and auxiliary, will not benefit from that setting. And again, you've got also a master volume down over here with a little battery indicator as well to show that you're connected. I should also mention you can connect these in stereo, so if you do have them in stereo, you'll have another tab over here, and therefore you can be running the 2 speakers in stereo, and then you can tailor them and group them together as well, which is pretty cool. So it's worth bearing that in mind as well, because I don't think it's actually mentioned that much. You can only see it all pretty much in the specs of the JBL website, but it's definitely worth mentioning because it will be a feature that some people will be looking into. So now the moment you've been waiting for to actually listen to the speaker. Now before I just quickly jump into that, and I know you're raring me to kind of be quiet, I do want to mention that it has an 8-inch woofer which is built inside. It goes down to 37.5 Hz, at least according to JBL. Has a maximum output of 112 decibels, so it's plenty loud. So it's worth bearing all of that in mind before you actually purchase it as well, because these are things that might affect you in terms of how you want to use the speaker. I would also like to mention that when I'm connected over Bluetooth, there is a slight little static noise that comes from the speaker. You kind of have to put your ears towards it, but it's something I did notice. There's kind of like a staticky sound, and unfortunately that doesn't really reduce. Other than that, I will also mention that the Bluetooth range is fantastic. I had no issues whatsoever with connectivity. So now I will go quiet and play one of my friend's song that you can find on YouTube. Link will down in the description below.
You should hide, then learn how to fly. It's the only way I know how to play this game to success. I'm not quite sussed it yet. When I reach the brink, don't stop soaring, soaring.
So that was a little extract from my friend Priya, fantastic song. As I said, I'll link it down in the description below. Now, in terms of the speaker itself, in terms of how it sounds, now this was all that was played back was on the flat sound signature. In other words, I didn't play around with the EQ, and for you guys to actually hear the speaker as it is without me playing around with the settings. Now, as I mentioned before, it depends on your type of input and the type of music that you listen to. I can't quite stress that enough. However, my personal suggestion would be to boost up the mids. The reason why is because the speaker sounds pretty hearty in the mid-bass tones. That bass is pretty strong and you can hear it, pretty emphasized. Now the healthy thump is great to see and it's pretty well controlled. However, it does leak into the mids, and that's what I was saying, that you need to potentially boost up the mids. You will have to define to what frequency exactly you want to boost in the mids. The reason I say that, again, it depends on terms of your music and in terms of input. If you do boost it, you don't want it to sound artificial, and in some cases when you do boost the mid-range of a speaker, then it will start to sound a little bit fake. However, what I was very impressed of was the high extension and the sub bass as well. Even though it extends only to 37.5 Hertz, at least according to JBL, it does give you that healthy low-end extension, and also into the opposite end of the spectrum you got a nice high-end extension. So I've got no complaints whatsoever. When it comes to the instrument separation, the speaker is very much a unidirectional speaker, and therefore it only positions in one way. So if you are positioned away from the speaker like this, the music won't come across as well, and therefore when you're trying to fill a room, you're going to have to want to position this in a way that it's going to your entire audience from the front of it. If you start moving around the speaker, even when you come to the right or the left, you do lose a lot of the overall sound quality, and obviously in terms of the detail that you might expect from a speaker of its price or of its class. So it's worth bearing that in mind. The positioning is absolutely key. Speaking about positioning, and I know it's not to do with sound quality, but there is a way of actually mounting the speaker underneath. It's right through the center of the speaker, and therefore allows you to mount up, let's say on a stand, or let's say on a wall or something like that. So it's worth bearing in mind that that can come in handy. So other than that, in terms of the instrument separation, I would say it's not that great. The instrument separation isn't as amazing as you would expect from a £520 speaker. However, the width and depth that you get into the overall sound is pretty impressive, to say the least. It's not something I would be overly amazed about in comparison to, let's say, a set of bookshelf speakers at its price range, but that said, this is not a bookshelf speaker, it's a portable PA system, so it's worth bearing in mind. So overall, what do I make of this speaker? Well, it's not quite perfect, it's pretty expensive as well, but in comparison to what you can currently find out there on the market, I can't think of a better portable PA system which does all the things in one. It's got all the right inputs, it's got the app that complements it, it's got a removable battery, even though you can't currently buy a removable battery as an additional extra, but it's worth bearing in mind that you've got that. You've got decent battery life, quoted around 12 hours, you've got fast recharging time at around 2.5 hours, and you've got a 4-channel selection, with also the fact that you can use them simultaneously as well throughout the different inputs as well, and the fact that it also has Bluetooth, and therefore you can, as I demonstrated, play music wirelessly via Bluetooth. Just bear in mind a little note, it uses the SBC codec only, there's no aptX or anything like that in terms of the codec support that this speaker has. So that's pretty much it. Would I recommend it if you're looking for a portable PA system? Well, I can't think of something that's better or that would outclass this speaker. However, if you're looking for a Bluetooth speaker just on its own, then you're not going to need all these inputs and outputs and whatever have you. Then there's a far better speakers out there which cost less money and sound a lot better. So it's just worth bearing in mind this is really tailored for a certain type of individual. If you're not looking for a portable PA system, look elsewhere. So there we go, guys. I've been Totally Dubbed. Hopefully you've enjoyed this honest, unbiased, unpaid review. If you have, make sure you give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Alright guys, take care and bye bye.